This is a story about a person that's an immigrant working for $4.95 at a concession stand in a movie theater to now making six figures as a real estate agent and an investor. Right in November, 2 weeks from Thanksgiving, my manager called me and they were like, hey, end of the year, we got to lay some people off because financially the company's not doing that well. And when you work for a union company, they go by seniority. So whoever has worked the longest, and it goes down to the new employees. And me being a new employee at that time, lowest in seniority, there was, I think, 14 or 16 of us got the pink slip, the layoff notice. And I look at it and I'm like, what do you mean I'm being laid off? What does that mean? I was like, I didn't do anything bad. I was producing. I was great. I had great customer reviews. So 2 weeks from Thanksgiving, bought a house. And by the way, bought a car because now we have a baby. Brand new car, brand new house. Thought I was living the dream of, employed, making great money. I get the pink slip and I didn't know how to react. What do I do? I remember driving home. There was a church and I stopped by in the parking lot and I was just like I'll be honest, I was in tears. I was crying because I didn't know how to go tell my wife. She's super excited, just excited about the baby. She moved from a different state and I was supposed to provide everything. And that was kind of another dark moment of my life, where a dark moment, but looking back, that was a growth moment again, those challenges. I went back home, sat down, took me a while to tell my wife, and amazing that she is. She's like, oh, I'm not worried. I was like, what do you mean you're not worried? I'm freaking out. I've never been not employed, not making money and working. But she wasn't worried. She was like, you got your help, we're fine. And I always thank my agent because, I didn't know all these life changes happen. I was thinking about if I would have bought that house, that I was way more than what I could afford monthly, I would have been in a bad situation. So I had to get on unemployment, learn about unemployment, how to fill out paperwork and look for a job. And then I changed the strategy and I said, you know what, I'm going to change career. I'm going to be an extra tech. So from a movie theater manager to technician, because I felt like the medical industry is one of the industries that, always will be there. I was doing research, so I decided to switch career, start taking classes, and I did the whole 1 year class, finished the class, but then I was doing the internship in the main hospitals like Harborview and Swedish and these hospitals, doing internship and trying to get my hours as an x-ray technician. Then I get an email from my communication company saying, hey, we're rehiring again if you want to come work again. And I was like, what? I was like, man, because right now I'm doing intern, I'm not getting paid, and working, I think I was working at Office Max or Office Depot, one of just trying to make everything kind of work out. To hear that, it was like how do I decide, do I continue working and get this degree so I can work in the hospital as a technician, or in this hand I can go back to my previous job, which I really loved. It was very independent. You got your own vehicle, you go around installing things. I'm very handy, so I enjoyed it. It has good benefits and good pay. And, in 6 months back then, or in 1 year, I think I went from $20 to $24. And, that's a big increase for me from a person that worked for 13 years and I was at $17. Talked to my wife, and just because I was not making enough money and, didn't like working that Office Depot job, and I pulled the trigger, quit school. Went back to the communication job. Again, great, excited to make good money, have all the benefits. 1.5 or 2 years later, I remember, guess what? I get another pink slip. And again, these things happen right before the holidays, right for Thanksgiving. What I didn't realize back then, I kept learning, was, these big companies, they have to meet a certain quota to satisfy the investors. And the easiest way they can do that, if they haven't met their budget, is lay a whole bunch of people off, get them off the books. It was a awakening that, I felt like I was just a number. And I got so many customer reviews from clients doing installs, letters. I'm getting these certificates from the managers for being a great employee because of the reviews that I get. But comes layoff time, that does not really matter. It's just about numbers. I was pissed off because, again, I got in a rhythm and I thought I'm doing good and I don't have to worry about it. I didn't know this kind of things happening. Now I'm furious. I just wanted to quit and find something else. I regret quitting the medical. I spent 1 year and paid money to go to school, and I quit that. Now they lay me off again. Back to unemployment. And, just going back to the real estate, I'm still have that property. I never sold it, still being rented by the tenant. And my hope was to buy another house, but it never happened because I kept getting laid off. And at this time, we have our second kid, and this is around 2013. Again, freaked out, unemployed, worked collecting unemployment. I decided to work different jobs. I don't remember where I work. I worked security. I forgot about it. I worked as a security officer at the convention center, working late nights at big buildings in Bellevue, and any opportunity, any overtime I can pick up, and obviously I took the job just because I need the income, and was not a happy person working there. I enjoyed the employee, my coworker, my colleague. I enjoyed my manager. It's not a decision that he was making. It's just the decision the company was making. So I decided to just grind a little bit harder. I decided to keep my security job, work my communication job. So I'll wake up at 7 in the morning, be at work by 8, work my communication job from 8 to 4, and I will get off of work. And by 6 o'clock, they'll assign me some building to go work as a security. I will go from 6 until usually 2 a.m. or whatever late night is. Then I go back home and sleep, play with my kids, because I'm just like, I need to work and get out of the cycle. And then this is around, I want to say 2016, 17, kept working 2 or 3 years doing the 2 jobs, saving a little bit of money, and not spending not a lot of time with my kids. We did a lot of things. We visited a lot of places, got to hang with them, but not truly, because my mind is always focused on that. And my wife is truly an amazing mom, and the one thing is I never had to worry about my kids. I knew she got them and she's going to take care of them. And for me to focus on work and stabilizing our life was one of the things I appreciate about her is, our kids are handled in an amazing way and cared way and loved way that I could focus on our life. But around that time, as I'm working at security officer at a communication company, I still got the bug of real estate. And I decided to say, I wonder if I can buy another property. Then I start reading, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and reading the real estate books. And you start getting this bug about investing in real estate and how you can make money off real estate, fixing and selling around 2017, and some YouTube channels you listen to. But I got approved for $370,000 or $360,000. And during that time in Seattle area, 2017, the market, 7, 8 went down, but then it just was taken off. In 2017, the market was just going higher and higher every month, every year. And I try to buy a house, a beat up house, a rambler, whatever I can find in the area I live in. And I will get overbid, and cash offer will take it because it's such a low price. I think I probably put about 7 offers and I didn't win any of them. But again, I was approved for something, so I wanted to buy. And one day, it was a Saturday, me, my wife, and 2 boys, we went to the fair. And this was a Puyallup fair in Puyallup to just go hang out as a family. And I remember driving on the road near Puyallup, and I see a big billboard sign, and it said, new construction, starting price at $299. I was like, in Lynnwood, $299 where I was living, maybe you can find a condo. All the houses at that price were, for investors that have cash. I couldn't believe I saw a sign for brand new construction home. The price was starting at $299 in 2017. As we're driving, I take a left, follow the sign, and my wife and kids are screaming at me because I'm supposed to go to the fair, and I am diverting, following sign to go to this development sign. And my oldest one is pissed because we're not going to the fair. We're going to not eat all the crazy food they have in the rides. My wife is pissed because why am I looking at a house in Puyallup so far away? I'm all thinking I was like $299 starting new construction. That's all in my head. And it's one of the developers, D.R. Horton, which is one of the biggest builders in America. And I pull in and I see about 47 homes being built, 3-car garage, 2,000 square foot to 2,800 square foot. They're giving washer, dryer, and refrigerator. They're giving all these things, and they're giving like a certain amount of money for closing costs. And right there, we get out of the car, we looked at property, I talked to the agent, and she was like, yeah, a lot of investors are buying here because there's a military base here. So they're buying houses and renting them out to a military family. And I don't know what happened. I wrote a check. I think the earnest money was for either $3,000 or $2,000. I wrote a check. We walked around and I picked a lot, filled out the paperwork, gave her the check, went to the fair, and came back the next day. They sent me all the paperwork, signed the contract. It will take, I think, 3 months or 2 months to build it. And that was it. Before I know it, I purchased the property in Puyallup in a way to a fair because I was getting tired of losing offers and trying to purchase a house in an area that I am closer. You read a lot of books usually, or people always advise, try to buy an investment property within certain miles of your home. That way you can maintain it and you can do all these things. Again, in 2017, I was not into these big podcasts that I listen to now or understand what's the best strategy to buy an investment property and how far away you should buy. Sometimes not knowing too much information is great because you make certain decision, and if it works out, it's even an amazing. Sometimes not great, but for me at that time, the two information I got, one, I thought about it was new construction. That means I didn't have to do a lot of maintenance. It's a brand new house, brand new furnace, brand new water tank, brand new roof, that if I do buy it and rent it out, there's not a lot of call that tenants would do. The second thing was, she said, a lot of investors were doing it, and because there's a military base, and military families are great. One, you want to support them, provide them a living space. Two, financially, they're pretty stable most of the time. 3 months of waiting to get that property finished and built. As soon as they built it, now I have 3 properties. I have the property that I live in, I have the property in Seattle that I bought for my first house, and now I have this property in Puyallup. And I learned, again, not reading a lot of things, I learned how to find the right tenant. This was in 2017. In 2015, while I was doing my security and communication job, I decided to get my real estate license. That was the time. I didn't really use it. I'm reading. I love real estate. And I remember 2015 that I spent late nights. And this is, once the wife was asleep and the kids went to sleep, I usually use the time from 11 until 3 a.m. because I was reading motivational books. And by far, my favorite book is Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. It completely changed my life.